Hey YouTube, it's ICU, and today is a very exciting day because not only did Apple hold their annual Worldwide Developers Conference to unveil OS X Yosemite, but they also announced iOS 8 and released the first beta iteration of iOS 8 to registered developers. So this is an exciting time. iOS 8 brings some really awesome features such as deep integration between OS X Yosemite and the mobile operating system itself, and brings enhancements to a number of the stock applications. Just be sure to stay tuned because I'm actually going to be doing an iOS overview video following this one, and while officially this beta firmware is exclusive to registered developers, non-Apple developers can actually install the firmware right now. So in this video, I'm going to highlight a security flaw in Apple's developer update system that allows any device running iOS 7, the latest version, in this case 7.1.1, to update because iTunes doesn't perform the developer UDID registration check that the firmware needs when performing the method I'm going to demonstrate in this video. It's actually for educational purposes only, and I'm not going to provide a direct download link to iOS 8 beta for that exact reason. Again, I'm just highlighting a flaw in Apple's beta update system, and with that said, if you want to take it upon yourself to install iOS 8 Beta 1 to test it, just know that I will not be held accountable for your actions. Alright, and with that both said and out of the way, we're going to continue, and I'm going to show you guys that my iPod Touch 5th generation is indeed on iOS 7.1.1 before updating to iOS 8 Beta. The reason why it doesn't have a rear-facing camera is because this is the lower-end 16GB model. Now, we're going to continue again by going inside of Settings, General, About. So as you can see again for the version, it does confirm that this 5th generation iPod Touch is running iOS 7.1.1, which is what you will need to update to iOS 8. So if you are jailbroken on a firmware that's iOS 7.0 through 7.0.6, you will regrettably forfeit your jailbreak if you decide to do this. However, if you're on iOS 7.1 or even 7.1.1, you want to test the latest beta firmware, you can always do that and then go back to the latest public firmware, which again at this point is 7.1.1. However, if you're jailbroken, you might want to seriously consider the risks involved in updating to a beta firmware because again, you will forfeit your jailbreak. Now with that said, what you're going to need for this tutorial is the iOS 8 Beta 1 IPSW, which I actually have on my desktop right here because I am an official Apple developer. I will not provide download links again because this video is merely for educational purposes. Now it's also always best if you restore your device inside of iTunes. So just be sure to initiate a backup first once you plug your iPhone, iPad, or iPod Touch into your computer via a USB cable, restore to iOS 7.1.1, and then follow the method in this video to upgrade to iOS 8, and then you can actually get your data back by restoring to that previous update you created. So at this point, I'm going to plug in my iPod Touch. You will also need the latest version of iTunes. If you don't have it downloaded, you should do so now. And again, once you plug in your device to your computer via your USB cable, because this is an iPod Touch 5th generation, it is a Lightning USB cable, you're going to need to open iTunes if it doesn't automatically pop up. Now zooming in here inside of iTunes, if you get a message to have your device allow it to access the computer you're currently connected to, just be sure to authenticate it on both your computer and your iOS device by tapping Trust. Once you've done that, you will be able to continue with this tutorial. Also, if you have Find My iPhone enabled inside of the iCloud portion of the Settings app, you will need to first disable that before you can successfully restore. And once you're connected, you're just going to go to the device portion inside of iTunes. After I click through the setup as new iPod, I will have that up on the screen here. So let's just wait for that to continue. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit so we can get a better view. And I'm going to wait for this to finish. And we're going to get started with iTunes here. And now at this point, if you're on OS X, what you need to do is hold down the Option or Alt key on your keyboard. If you're on Windows, simply hold down the Shift key and then left click, which is how you normally click, on the button to check for update. So again, you're going to Alt click on OS X or Shift click on Windows, and then simply point the pop-up at your iOS 8 Beta 1 IPSW. Once it's been selected, simply click on Open, and then iTunes will say that it's going going to verify that the iPod is eligible to update. We're just going to click the button to update, and it's going to continue by first extracting the software. Now I'm actually going to leave the iPod up on the display here just so you guys can see approximately how long this entire process takes. I'm also going to zoom out a little bit and refocus, and we're going to continue with this video again with the restore going on right now. It's actually extracting the software first, and then it should proceed. So at this point, it's saying that it's preparing the iPod Touch for a software update. Also keep in mind that this iPod Touch's UDID is not registered through an Apple developer account. And inside of iTunes, it says that it's actually preparing the iPod Touch for a software update. So it's just continuing here. We have a spinning wheel on the iPod Touch itself. And it should just proceed now. So we have the iTunes Restore logo. It says waiting for iPod again inside of iTunes, and it will just continue. Again, I'm going to leave this up on the display so you guys can see approximately how long this process should take. Again, it will vary depending on your device, and I highly recommend doing this from a clean restore of iOS 7.1.1, so just be sure to back up inside of iTunes first. It's a fairly straightforward process, and again, we're just bypassing the method Apple uses to sign and deliver beta updates for developer devices. We actually have a loading bar on the iPod Touch here. It says waiting for iPod inside of iTunes, and it's just going to continue. I'm also going to adjust the camera here so it's not quite as dark. So let's do that now. Now it's actually verifying the update inside of iTunes, and it will continue once it's successfully done that. Again, because this is using a workaround, it doesn't actually authenticate it with Apple's developer servers. This is for educational purposes only. Again, I'm not providing you guys with a download link specifically for that reason. And now it's saying that it's updating the iPod software inside of iTunes. This entire process can take some time because of all the checks it has to do and because of this workaround. So just give it some time. It's actually continuing on the iPod Touch here. You can see the progress bar moving ahead, so that's good. And it's just going to continue from here, installing iOS 8 Beta 1 on the 5th generation iPod Touch. And now at this point, it's a little over halfway done on the computer. However, the bar on the iPod Touch doesn't align. Don't worry, that's fine. This is typical of a restore inside of iTunes. So just wait for it to continue and you should be good to go as long as you leave your device connected to your computer. Again, definitely do not unplug it at this point. All right, and it's done inside of iTunes. Now it says it's verifying the updated iPod software. Now it's just performing a local check to ensure that the iPod was successfully updated to, in this case, iOS 8 Beta 1. And it's still verifying inside of iTunes. It should be done soon, and then from there it will continue. All right, it says updating iPod firmware. Again, it's just finalizing the update. Remember, as I said towards the beginning of this process, this can take some time. Just be sure to leave it connected and be patient when updating to iOS 8 Beta 1. All right, and as you can see inside of iTunes, it says that the iPod has been successfully updated and that it's rebooting now. So let's get zoomed in on that. As you can see, it says your iPod has been updated. The message actually went away now, but we're going to refocus on the iPod. I'm actually going to close out of iTunes here, and we will continue by verifying that this 5th generation iPod Touch is indeed running iOS 8 Beta 1. And right now it's just doing an on-device step. Don't worry, it will reboot shortly. All right, as you can see, the bar is now gone. We have the Apple logo, and it should come up in just a second. All right, here we go. We now have the on-device setup screen with the customary hello message. So I'm going to swipe to continue. As you can see, it says update completed. I'm going to hit continue again and just go through some of these steps here. I'm going to disable location services. I'm trying to tap it now, and it's not working for whatever reason, but that should be fine. I'm just going to keep tapping it until it recognizes the input, and there we go. Going to disable location services, and I'm also going to skip the step to input my Apple ID. Again, this is just additional proof that you don't need a developer account to restore to iOS 8 Beta 1. This is for educational purposes only, again, and I'm just showing you guys that this is theoretically possible. So now going inside of the settings application, I'm going to open up General followed by About. I can already tell it's significantly more laggy than iOS 7.1.1. version. But again, going inside of About shows that on the bottom, again, this is running iOS 8. As you can see for the version, it says 8.0. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, just giving a demonstration of how it's possible to install iOS 8 Beta 1 on an iPhone, iPad, or iPod Touch that isn't officially registered through an Apple developer account. Of course, if you guys like this video and if you want more videos like this one, just be sure to rate it up and leave a relevant comment down below in the comments section. And of course, if you're interested in earning paid iOS apps from Apple's App Store for free legally while simultaneously supporting the developers of said applications, just be sure to visit bit.ly/getfreeapplife or freeapplife.com inside of Safari. Once downloaded, install sponsored apps for points and then redeem said points for various prizes, again, such as paid application codes from Apple's App Store, gift cards, and electronic devices. Also, I'm actually recording this segment after having concluded the video. In my haste to get it edited, I never went to the second page on the iPod Touch here, and when I do, you will notice that I have a new app called Health. It's something Apple demonstrated during WWDC for iOS 8, and I also have a bug reporter app. So again, this is another verification that I am on iOS 8. I have tons of different options here inside of the Health app. So again, this is iOS 8 Beta 1 running on an iPod Touch. Thanks again for watching, and of course, don't forget to follow me on Twitter and like me on Facebook for more on iOS 8. And until next time, this is ICU, signing out.